Y'all, Brazil is so black, I literally cannot tell who's Brazilian versus Jamaican, Angolan, Georgian. Not Georgian, because that's an actual country. Let me try that again. I legitimately cannot tell who's Brazilian versus Jamaican, from the Congo, from Georgia. But I guess it's not too surprising when you think about the fact that they have more black people than any other country outside of the continent of Africa. And they also trafficked in more enslaved Africans than any other country too. Come to think of it, they were also the last country to abolish slavery, 20 years after the United States. Well, dang, Brazil. But that does make what I'm about to tell you even more interesting. Because in spite of those brutal, centuries-long conditions, some enslaved Africans escaped and built entire independent towns tucked deep into Brazil's forests and mountains where they could finally live free. And those settlements are called Quilombos. There are more than 40 just in the state of São Paulo, and the Quilombo history is part of the region's newest Afro Tourism guide, so you know I had to pull up to one. And these weren't just hideaway spots out in the cut. Back in the day, these were thriving communities with farmland, trade routes, spiritual practices, and full military systems. And Quilombos were also great places for the preservation of culture. Capoeira, for example, flourished in Quilombos. It's a form of martial arts that came from Angolan fighting traditions, and it's believed to have been created to disguise fighting as dance so participants could practice defense without alerting colonial forces. Food traditions also took shape here. Crops like cassava, okra, palm oil, and beans became the foundation of Afro-Brazilian cuisine. And when it comes to spirituality, African religious traditions like candomblé were able to survive and evolve in these spaces. The orishas, ancestral reverence, drumming, and ceremonies were all protected because people finally had room to practice without punishment. At their peak, there were thousands of quilombos spread across Brazil. The most famous one, Palmares, became legendary. It had thousands of residents, its own ruler, and fought off the Portuguese trying to destroy it. The most iconic figure was Zumbi dos Palmares, who became a national symbol of resistance for Afro-Brazilians. He helped turn the Quilombo into a free black nation operating inside of a slave empire. Come on, Black excellence! And these communities still exist. Their descendants live all across Brazil. But survival hasn't been easy. The government technically granted land rights back in 1988, but most communities are still waiting for the paperwork to catch up. I was told some of them are still fighting off attempts to erase their claims, everything from delayed titles to falsified documents. For example, Quilombo Cafundó is an Angolan-descended community, rich with history, sitting on more than 500 acres, where they're the only people in the world who speak the Kupopia language, which was originally created as a secret code so enslavers couldn't understand them. But only about 150 people remain in the Quilombo. I was told a lot of families left because they're exhausted from constantly battling to keep what's theirs. Not freedom getting caught up in bureaucracy and internal colonialism. So if you visit a Quilombo, it's important to remember these aren't just places frozen in time. Like, this isn't just history book stuff. They're not museums, they're not reenactments, they're living communities. Families are raised here, and for centuries they've pushed to continue doing so. Quilombos are proof that even inside systems designed to break us, Black people will always find a way to survive and thrive.